Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. So let us today study about queer theory. Queer theory is a topic that is asked in your exam in Match the Following when there are works and the theorist given to you. They can also ask queer theory in maybe in statement wise questions that they have already done in 2024. This is a topic that will take you one step close to your JRF, right? Because not everyone studies these topics. That is why I want you guys to be very attentive and read and learn, make your own notes about queer theory today. So, queer theory, what exactly is queer theory? So, queer, by definition, is whatever that is at odds with the normal. Queer. Queer means it is not normal. Something that is not normal. But, my dear, what exactly is normal? Our society has decided a particular pattern and they think that is normal, the legitimate, the dominant, the one that everyone will follow. So there is nothing that is particularly normal. This is what queer people say. It is the identity without an essence. Okay, so queer theory is a field that examines nature of sexuality and gender based normativity. They say that why do you think that there will be compartmentalization, male versus female, boys versus girls? Why do you think that there will be only two groups? Why cannot there be a gray area in between? Okay, so society has only accepted sexuality as in two ways. Either you will be a male or you will be a female. Okay, so gender based normativity, this is the normal scenario. Then when you are born, either you will be a girl or you will be a boy. Society defines and also polices the concept of heterosexuality. There will be a relationship where girl and a boy will date. Homosexuality, maybe boy and a boy would date, and gender and sexual identity. But what if a person likes a girl as well as a boy both at the same time? These things that are not at all comprehensible to the society, they think they are not normal. So they do not talk about it, they shun it. It is somewhere considered as a bad thing to talk about. So, as a branch of gender and sexuality studies, queer theory aims to deconstruct. Deconstruction means you need to break these stereotypes. And it is so queer theory aims to deconstruct what is acceptable and what is considered as quote unquote normal. Queer theory opens new avenues of thoughts to define concepts considered central to identity and identity politics. Queer theory rejects conventional and mainstream behavior, including sexual identity, but also range of identities, including range of identities that include race, disability, and gender. So this is going to include queer theory will include, as culture studies is a topic that we study, we will talk about race, disability, gender, every sort of thing that is considered mainstream and normal. They will question that. It rejects the essentialist nature of theories of identity based on binary oppositions. So they will say, why do you only divide the things in binary? And whatever is written in front is always considered more powerful. Do you know this? Deconstructionists talk about it. So male versus female. Why do we say this? Why not female versus male? And male that is written in the front is always given more power. It is always given more power. Male, female, gay, straight. And it argues there is another space that is called as queer. It explores and challenges the way in which heterosexuality is constructed as normal and the way in which the media has limited the representations of gay men and women, suggests sexual identity is more fluid. So the main crux is that according to them, what is identity? Identity is very fluid. Identity is more fluid than what the media has given us. Okay, what exactly is queer? Queer is unity plus diversity. Queer will include gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, everything, every sort of community is included here. Queer theorists challenge the ideas of choosing certain, compartmentalized groups, some planned groups for people based on their lifestyle choices. Let us talk about the brief history of queer theory. So, queer theory and the theorist took their cues and concepts from several sources, including gay identity politics, as well as this grew very important when the AIDS epidemic came. They talked about the feminist theory and the culture studies. Some of the texts and the thinkers are: firstly, we have The History of Sexuality, a work written in 1976 by Michel Foucault. He is a philosopher historian. He questioned how identity that is created or the society that treated sexuality as an essential truth rather than social construct. So, society thinks that whenever you are born, either you will be a boy or you will be a girl, okay, in a very normal conditions, quote unquote, again, normal conditions, or maybe you can be a homosexual. This is something that they still started to talk about during the 1976. But this is not a social construct according to them, but it is a truth. Though reality is that it is nothing but a social construct, nothing but a social construction. A girl, say, with short hair, a girl with short hair is considered having boy characteristics. A girl needs to have beautiful long hair. Who has prescribed these stereotypes? We as people, we as society has done that. In this theorizing, Foucault also posited that identity is not innate and that politics generally rely on hierarchies of desire as a means of oppression. And for creating oppression, these things are created. They are nothing but hierarchies. Then we have Gail Robin. Gail Robin was an American cultural anthropologist, theorist, activist, best known for her pioneering works in the field of feminist theory and queer theory. So she is an important queer studies theorist, as well as she has studied feminist theory also. She has written the work Thinking Sex 1984. It examined how society places certain sexual behaviors above others. According to Rubin, this normative framework then served as a basis of marginalization and oppression. Say, definitely a girl who is having a beautiful skin without any pimples, or maybe she is white in complexion and not dark in complexion, they will always consider her more pretty. So, certain sexual behaviors or certain normal frameworks are considered superior than the other one. A girl should be very lean, should be very beautiful, should have a very slim figure. A fat girl is body shamed. These are the things that queer theorists will talk about. A girl, if she is having a relationship with a boy, it is okay, but if she has a relationship with a girl, then it becomes a taboo. Okay, a boy, he or she, a boy is more powerful. A boy cannot cry. These are the stereotypes, isn't it? मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता. Why cannot a guy have feelings and why cannot they cry? But the society has created this stereotype that because male is the provider, they cannot cry. Then you have Eve Shavorsky Shedwick. She has written a seminal book, Epistemology of Closet, in 1990 and explored how society genders sexuality. For example, by defining sexual identity primarily to gender identities of a people who attract you. Then we have in 1990 Judith Butler, my favorite theorist as well. She has written this phenomenal work, Gender Trouble, which suggests that gender as well as sex are performative in nature, including elements of identity rather than innate characteristics. So, who has said that if you are a male, if you are a boy, you are entitled to play PUBG or you will order cars and play with cars? But if you are a girl, if you are a woman, you will wear saris and you will play with dolls. A girl's room is painted pink when they are born, and a male's or a boy's room is painted blue. Who has prescribed these rules, regulations, or these normal stereotypes? Society. Then we have Teresa de Lauretis. She became the first writer to coin the phrase queer theory. This is very important. De Lauretis outlined a complete rethinking of sexuality, divorced from the binaries and standards defined by heterosexual power structures that Michael Warner would rather refer to as heteronormativity. So, who talked about heteronormativity? That is Michael Warner. So, there are so many potential questions as well as PYQs from just one slide. Influential thinkers. So, we will study about Judith Butler first. Judith Butler has written a very important work, Gender Trouble. Gender Trouble. She has also written other works also, but Judith Butler, an American philosopher, is mostly famous for this. She is an American feminist philosopher. She has been an influential political philosopher and has taken part in the third wave feminism. And queer theory. As well. So she is known for her important work Gender Trouble, Feminism and Subversion of Identity that came out in 1990. Her core contribution is gender performativity. What is gender? Gender is like a performance we do. A girl is supposed to look pretty, a yellow dress, going out, sitting delicately. That's a girl. A boy sitting with open legs, macho looks, low waist pants or jeans, that's a male. We have prescribed these rules and regulations. There are other works also that she has written. For example, we have works like Bodies That Matter, 1993, on the discursive limits of sex. That's the full title. Bodies That Matter and Gender Trouble. So, Butler argues that gender is not innate but socially constructed through repeated actions that are called as performances. This insight challenged the traditional binary notions of gender and laid the groundwork of much queer theory. Then we have Foucault. So, Foucault was an important writer who was talking about biopower, biopolitics, etc. Foucault's work explores power and he shapes sexual identity. His concept biopower and his analysis of the way society regulates sexuality laid the foundations of queer theory. His work, The History of Sexuality, is important. In 1976, this work came out. Then we have Eve Shavorsky Shedwick. Queer epistemology is the core concept that she has contributed. Shedwick has written this work, Epistemology of Closet, which came out in 1990, and Shedwick explored how binary, that is gay or straight, shapes both social interactions and the way of knowledge about sexuality that is produced. Her work on the closet as a metaphor for hidden sexual identities contributes to resonate with queer studies. So what is a closet? Closet is an almirah, where you put your clothes or whatever, your stuff here. It is closed, isn't it? You don't open your almirah, it is always closed. This means that what are your inner feelings? They are always closed. They are always shut. This is queer theory. The book tackles the question of what makes up a human sexuality. What is human sexuality? So, in Epistemology of Closet, Shedwick will talk about the binary opposites and the limits. What are the limits given to each gender? Say what kind of freedom is given? What is the basic understanding of a person? Shedwick argues that limiting sexuality only to homosexual and heterosexual is also very bad. So according to her, either a girl or a boy can be homosexual or heterosexual. That itself is a bad thing. Why is it so simple for you guys to just compartmentalize them? It is a structural binary that we have given. It is way deeper, and a lot of nuances are included here. Then we have Jos Estben Muna's Queer of Color Critique is a core contribution. Disidentifications, Queer of Color and the Performance of Politics 1999 में ये work आता है. So Munoz focuses on the intersections of race, sexuality as well as resistance. He introduced the concept of disidentification, which refers to how marginalized groups, especially the queer people of color, navigate, reinterpret, and resist dominant norms. Now they're not only doubly marginalized, they become triply marginalized because somewhere down the line, their color will also affect them. Right? So Eve Shavarsky Shedwick, she has talked about post-structuralism, gay studies, multiculturalism, and Joes also talks about things like disidentifications as well as race, sexuality, color, so on and so forth. Okay. So there is another work that Eve Shavarsky Shedwick has written. Let me write it down. In 1985, she has written this work, Between Men. She analyzed here in this work homosocial desire as well as English literature. In 1991, she published Jane Austen and the Okay. These are the works that she has written. I hope you will read a little bit about her. Let us write 2 works of Judith Butler also. Bodies That Matter 1993. There is one more work that has been asked. Undoing Gender and Who's Afraid of Gender. This is a very recent work, 2024 only. That is why I wanted to talk about it. ठीक है? Chalo, let's move forward. Then we have David Halprin, Queer History and Culture. The work is 100 Years of Homosexuality, 1990. Halprin critiques the historical characterizing or the characterization of homosexuality, arguing that modern sexual identities such as gay are social constructions that emerge in particular historical context. His work is foundational to queer historical studies as well. There are other works also that he has written. He is an American theorist and he is the co-founder. He is also the co-founder of GLQ, a journal of lesbian and gay studies. This has been asked also. And books like Before Pastoral and 100 Years of Homosexuality, these are the works that he has written. Right? His work have been published in number of important journals also. He has received number of prizes, an important queer theorist. Then Teresa de Lauretis, she has talked about queer theory and feminism, the practice of love, lesbian sexuality and perversive desire. This is the text that she is influential for. Teresa de Lauretis. She's an Italian author. Teresa Lauretis first coined the term queer theory and contributed significantly to the intersection of queer theory and feminism. She focused on the complexities of lesbian theory and the relationship between sexual identity and power as well. Okay. Then we have bell hooks. Bell hooks. Bell hooks has talked about intersectional feminism and sexuality. Bell hooks has written works like Aren't I a Woman, Black Women and Feminism, 1981. While Hooks is primarily known for her contributions to feminist theory, her works on intersectionality. What do you mean by intersectionality? How race, gender, class, sexuality all intersect together. That has been deeply influential in the field of queer theory, especially in understanding how marginalized identities are shaped by both race and sexuality. Race and sexuality. Okay, so she's an American author. Bell Hooks is an American author. She has written, so she's best known for her writings related to race as well as feminism and to class as well. She has talked about intersectionality of race, capitalism, gender, has written almost 40 books. 40 books she has written, and they have been asked in Match the Following. So we will be writing about her books, Aren't I a Woman? Aren't I a Woman? Black Women and Feminism 1981. Then she has written works like Feminist Theory, From Margin to Center 1984. Then works like Teaching to Transgress 1994. All About Love 2000. We Real Cool, Black Men. This is the same title, Black Men and Masculinity in 2004. Okay. Then we have Montague Whiting. Sexuality, heterosexuality and political system are the core concepts. The Straight Mind. The Straight Mind is the book written by Montague. He's a French author. Okay, then Whiting's feminist as well as queer theory critiques heterosexuality as a political social system that enforces gender norms. Her radical deconstruction of the straight mind has been the central to the very normal ways of living, that is the heteronormativity that we have. So Montaigne, as I told you, was a French theorist, philosopher, feminist theorist, and her groundbreaking title, The Straight Mind and Other Essays, made her famous. She is the one who coined a phrase. So she coined a phrase as well called as heterosexual contract. Heterosexual contract. She wrote about abolition of a sex class system and coined this phrase heterosexual contract. She has published one novel also, Lee Oponax. Let me write it again. In 1964, and Les Gorillas and she's a lesbian. So she wrote this work related to lesbian feminism and became famous. She basically, this work, The Straight Mind, in 1992, it is a collection of essay that she wrote, and it is associated with how a person will only think about one thing that is correct, and that's a straight mind. We do not talk about anything else. We think that there should be heteronormativity. That means what is normal should be the way. She has given, now why am I discussing her? Because this is a potential question. She has delivered this lecture or this essay to the Modern Language Association in an annual convention in 1978, and she has made references to the Savage Mind. This is a work written by Claude Levi Strauss. So they always give you statements and questions in like intertextual references like these. So I wanted to talk about this. The Savage Mind is a work written by Claude Levi Strauss, who is a structuralist anthropologist, and he has used basically structural theories in anthropology. He's an anthropologist, and this work became famous where he talked about, he refers to discrete mind of a particular human and how untamed human thought can think. So she is of course going to take references from this work. Now, in major works, I want to talk about Judith Butler. Judith Butler's work, Gender Trouble, Feminism and Subversion of Identity, is a seminal work that challenges the traditional norms of gender and identity. Butler is going to argue the concept of gender performativity. So, in Match the Following, they can ask you this. According to Butler, gender is performed through repeated actions, and it creates an illusion of a stable identity. This is going to challenge the belief that there is something fixed, biologically determined gender, and suggest that identity is nothing but fluid. In the context, identity also changes. Butler also critiques the binary understanding of gender as being only male and female and heteronormativity framework that underpins this. She argues that these frameworks restrict the expression of gender and sexuality. By exposing the performative nature of gender, that gender is nothing but a construct. Why will I like pink color if I am a woman? I will like orange. I will like blue. Butler suggests that it can be subverted. So these performance, these roles that are prescribed to us, they can be subverted. इनको आप topsy turvy कर सकते हो, allowing for the possibility of alternative. There is a possibility of alternative, non-normative gender expressions. The book also critiques feminist queer theorists for their tendency to define rigid categories of identity, arguing instead of a more inclusive and a diverse understanding of gender. Then we have Epistemology of the Closet by Eve Shavatsky Shedwick. In 1990, this landmark work came out. Shedwick explores the ways in which binary distinctions between heterosexual and homosexual have shaped not only the sexual identity but also broader cultural, social, and epistemological framework. She argues that the closet, both literal and metaphorical, is a space for concealing one's identity. It has a central creation of knowledge about sexuality. The idea of epistemology of closet is that closet functions as a site of anxiety, repression, secrecy. आप क्लोजेट के अंदर, आपका क्लोजेट कितना ज़्यादा वेल ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है. अगर ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं है तो आपको कहीं ना कहीं एंग्जाइटी होती है. यू फील बैड दैट योर क्लोथ्स आर नॉट आयरन, isn't it? Your clothes are not completely intact. So there is a kind of repression, sexuality, whatever you wear, isn't it? So I want to look more pretty. This is an anxious statement. This is going to shape an individual and the society. So she will positionalize anxiety with closet. She's going to combine these two together. Shedwick examines how binary oppositions between out and in. In means in the closet. That means in the closet you are anxious. Out of the closet, you are confident. So, in and out. This plays a crucial role in ways people understand their own identity and the identity of the other person. She critiques the assumption that she critiqued the assumption that revealing one's sexuality is inherently liberating, suggesting instead that both coming out and remaining in the closet are complex actions shaped by culture and social forces. So some people are aware about their identity. They know that they are attracted, being a female, the person is attracted to another female. Others do not even have a chance to understand about their sexuality. This is because of the rigid rules and regulations. Parents are also not accommodative. That is why some people always remain in and others come out. Others talk about their identity. But both of these things, maybe talking out or staying in, they are complex in their own manner. Her exploration of closet challenges both dominant understanding of sexuality and conventional methods of knowing, opening up new possibilities to queer theory. Then Jack Halberstam has written Female Masculinity. In Queer Art of Failure 2001, Jack addresses the themes of gender, sexuality, and identity with a notable focus on female masculinity. In his book in 1998, he has written this book, Female Masculinity. Jack explores how women who perform masculinity through their behavior, representation, or self concept challenge the traditional gender norms. A woman living independent, a woman not getting married, a woman not dependent on man, a woman not seeking validation from the other person, they are considered masculine. Okay, so he rejects the idea of masculinity that is inherently linked with maleness and argues that women can embody masculinity in diverse ways, right? Disrupting dominant notions of gender and sexuality. Why do you think that women need a man to survive? Why cannot a woman live on her own in a rented apartment? Okay, a woman can have masculine qualities as well. Masculine is nothing to do with being a male only. The book focuses on women who are often marginalized with both feminist and queer discourses such as butch lesbians, transgender men, and gender non-conforming women. So, in the field of, say, homosexual and heterosexuality, there are other gray areas. For example, transgender men are not included, are not considered good, are not included, are not going to talk about themselves. Gender non-conforming women are considered inferior. So, he critiques the mainstream feminism for often equating femininity with female identity and masculinity with male identity. By examining cultural repressions of female masculinity, such as film, literature, as well as popular culture, he reveals how women who often perform masculinity create space for alternate way of being. So they are not considered even humans, they are somewhere aliens. Okay, and we have seen a very stereotypical image in films, literature, and pop culture. A girl, you will never find a heroine with spectacles who is in the rain. Very less movies are there. Nana, a character in your movies, actually, she broke the stereotypes, isn't it? So women are supposed to look pretty, not wearing spectacles. In fact, disability studies also talk about this. You'll find her having female characteristics, damsel in distress, waiting for a man to protect her, waiting for quote unquote a male to protect her. Okay, so he argues that female masculinity is not mere imitation of male masculinity, but rather distinct from gender expression and often and few new possibilities for understanding power, identity, and social relations. Then we have Foucault. We have Saint Foucault. This is a work David M. Harplin's Saint Foucault Towards a Gay Heliography. This is a work that came out in 1993. It is basically a critical exploration of Foucault's legacy, particularly in relation to queer theory. Halpin approaches Foucault not just as a philosopher but as a symbolic figure of gay community, using the idea of heliography, that is the writing about saints. So this was a PYQ in 2024. They asked you in match the following: heliography is what? Writing about saints. So learn this. To investigate how Foucault's life and work can be viewed through queer lens. Halpin examines and explores the intersections between Foucault's ideas of power, identity, sexuality, subjectivity, and how they relate to gay identity. He suggests that Foucault's own life and his intellectual contributions offer a kind of gay saintliness, in a sense that Foucault embraced his own non normative sexuality and challenged the dominant sexual norms that are there. Halpin also explores how Foucault's work on power and sexuality, especially in the text of History of Sexuality, provides a framework of understanding the complexities of gay literature and queer politics. Rather than offering a traditional and celebratory biography of Foucault, Halpin is going to critique the idealization of Foucault and instead presents a more nuanced interpretation of knowledges and also both his philosophical contributions as well as his personal life. So here, Saint Foucault towards a gay heliography. It is a work written by David where he is talking about Foucault and exploring and critiquing the other aspects of Foucault's personal life also. The last work, In No Future Queer History and the Death Drive in 2004, Lee Eldman critiques the dominant cultural obsession with futurism, progress, reproduction, offering a radical queer theory centered around the figure of death drive, a concept drawn from Freud's psychoanalysis. Eldrin argues that the conventional societal focus is on reproductive futurism. Everyone wants a family, everyone wants a child. Children are considered as progressive, right? So he is going to talk about how reproductive futurism of family, children, and progressiveness reinforce heteronormativity values, including queer identities whose desires and lives fall outside the future oriented framework. Eldman introduces the idea of death drive, an unconscious force that resists life affirming, forward looking goals, as a way to challenge this cultural fixation to the future. So you need to stop thinking so much about future and think about the present. Are you even happy right now? For Eldrin, queer theory can and should embrace death drive as a rejection of tradition, reproductive societal order. He critiques the moral imperative of secure. Marry a man who has a good job. Marry a man in your same community. A person who can provide you. Quote unquote, parents want to make a girl secure. A girl cannot explore her sexuality married to a man who she is not even aware of. But her future would be secure. So you need to stop these stereotypical notions. The future for future generation is to be decided by the future generations only, not their parents, especially children. He's going to question the societal expectations that individuals should conform to these norms in the name of progress. Through this critique, Eldman also argues for a radical queer politics that embraces negativity, heteronormative desires, and a rejection of the, presumptions to conform with future-oriented ideologies. And also, if you are a queer, you are allowed to think about future. In both the ways, it is possible. If you are a gay person, if you are homosexual, you are allowed to think about future, though being fetish or this obsession with futurism is wrong, but you are entitled to think about it. Rather than seeking inclusion in heteronormative structures, No Future suggests that queerness thrives in its refusal to participate in the politics of futurity. This work is foundational in queer theory as it challenges the dominant assumptions that the ultimate goal of politics and the life is stable and procreative future. ऐसा नहीं है that life में if you get married, if you have children, that is only the correct way of living. Okay? So with this, I will wind up the class. I hope you guys understood all the various all the topics that we discussed. The various theorists that were new to you are clear. Try to read a little bit more about them. With this, I'll wind up the class. Thank you and have a wonderful day.